right, Jason, when it comes to what happened on the field, I know that right out of the gate, they took some shots. Dillon Gabriel had his first crack at it. Daniel Parker, the tight end from Missouri, got a catch real early in the game and got involved. And other than that, yeah, a couple shots downfield and one to Theo Weiss to get them in scoring range. And we'll let you take it from there in terms of what stood out to you.
Yeah, I think Gabriel threw the ball pretty well considering the wind going on. I think it was 19 out of 28, 250 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Interception was one where the wind kind of caught it a little bit. Great defensive play by cornerback Kendall Dennis on that play. But yeah, I think you got the one thing that was interesting, and obviously for a spring game, the offense was very, very vanilla, right? Which is what you would expect. But yeah, you caught a glimpse of a couple of things I think that stood out for me offensively. The command that Gabriel had for the offense I thought was really, really good. I think another thing that we thought that we would see out of this team, and you will with Levy's offense, is the ability to throw the ball down the field a lot. I think we'll see a lot more deep balls than we've seen in the past. But I think another thing was, he checked down to the running backs quite often, and something that you didn't see a whole lot of in Riley's offense, whether that was necessarily by design or just with what has happened in the past with kind of the receiving core and things like that. But there was quite a few check downs in terms of not forcing the ball. So I thought that was those were good things. And early on he played both sides of the ball. He was on both teams, I guess I should say, and so he got the lion's share of the snaps early on. I think Nick Evers was the first non-Dillon Gabriel guy to come out and play quarterback, and Micah Bowens played a little bit as well. And I think looking at the quarterback situation, it was probably a little concerning coming in. And I think most people knew that Oklahoma, had some concerns from a depth perspective with Oklahoma coming in here to the spring. And I think that was confirmed, based on the way that the team looked and the way some of those quarterbacks played. So I think that was probably one of the only major concerns that you saw coming out of this game. You saw from a running back perspective, Javonte Barnes got a lot of carries, looked good, running between the tackles, pretty strong. Tyree Walker played a little bit, the junior college transfer, had some good catches out of the backfield. Really reminded me of former running back Chris Brown from a few years ago, and kind of the way he runs and his stature and those types of things. Eric Gray played a little bit, didn't play a lot. I think Oklahoma knows what they have. Only had a few carries, but busted off a long carry. And then wide receiver core, you'd mentioned Theo Weiss a little bit, got one of those catches early on. You saw Marvin Mims cut a touchdown pass. Jaden Gibson caught a long touchdown pass there in the second half when there was more of a running clock situation. So I think looking at it from a very positive perspective, offensive line looked good, specifically the guys that are going to be counted on to play. I think the one challenge that you saw from both offense and defense, Mark, is the way that the teams were split up. It was more of kind of a draft style setup. So you had the offensive, the specialists on the offensive side kind of split up between teams. Offensive linemen were split up. Individual unit groups were split up. So it wasn't necessarily a good view and say how are these teams going to or how are these guys going to work cohesively as an individual unit. But you got to see some of the flashes individually of some of those players. So offensive line look solid. I think the one thing that you would look for as the transfer portal gets kicked up here is, I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma goes after wide receiver in the portal offensively. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see if they go after a backup quarterback if there's one available. We've talked a lot about this as well, Mark. I mean, it's a it's a difficult proposition to ask a kid to come in, specifically mid-semester now, right? Come in that knows he doesn't really have the best chance to start and would have to be in a position where they would be comfortable in a backup spot, but understanding they're one play away from playing, and then really being, a year away from legitimately challenging for a quarterback spot. But I think of anything on the offensive side, there was just growing concern if Gabriel goes down, that probably in a pretty bad situation, with with Nick Evers and Micah Bowens being the other two scholarship guy. Not that Nick Evers won't be good. I think he's got, you can see the arm talent that he has, and the measurables are what, is what Oklahoma looks for, what Levy looks for. But he's just, he's a true freshman, still should be in high school right now. A brand new offense, just understanding what he needs to do. He's not quite there, but I think that'll be something to look for for Oklahoma fans, just kind of watching the transfer portal over the next couple of months here. I know the deadline to enter is May, but I think they can select their destination until June. I think, is that right? Um,
Yes.
so that'll happen pretty quick, but certainly expect Oklahoma to be a player on the wide receiver and the quarterback front.